Objective. After listening to this module, you'll be able to describe how stress increases your body's power, speed, and strength. The power of stress. True or false? Stress, or specifically the stress response or the physiological changes that your body goes through when you're stressed, is strong enough to mimic a heart attack. That is true. As you know, emotions are very powerful because they can cause major physiological changes in your body. So you now know that stress affects your physiological processes, heart rate, blood pressure, glucose levels, etc., and your organs, your spleen, your skin, etc., and it affects every physiological system in your body, cardiovascular, endocrine, etc., etc. Now let's talk about just how powerful the stress response is in terms of affecting your power, speed, and strength. Anxiety or panic attacks illustrate the very real physical reactions in our bodies caused by stress. Seemingly out of nowhere, a person experiences a racing heartbeat, tightness in the chest, dizziness, sweating hands and dry mouth, and a feeling of disorientation. People who suffer panic attacks will quickly tell you that they think they're having a heart attack. Stress, specifically the stress response, is that powerful. Your body responds to your emotions, which were elicited by your thoughts and perceptions, and either prepares you to fight or run away by causing those symptoms of a panic attack. Another example of the power of our emotions on our body is illustrated by the incredible strength exhibited by someone during a stressful, traumatic situation. Have you heard of someone who's able to lift a car off someone? This person was able to do that because his or her body was going through the stress response, which provides increased power, speed, and strength to either run away or fight something. Here are some actual true-story examples of this power and strength that result from stress. In June 2009, 2 women lifted a 1.1-ton car off an 8-year-old boy after he was run over. On hearing his screams, they ran out and grabbed the bumper. One of the women said, "At first I thought it was one of my own children. I had to help, so I did the first thing that came into my mind. All we could see were these little legs under the car. He was trapped right under the engine and was screaming. We just bent over and grabbed underneath the car and lifted." In May 1995, a man in Colorado hit a tree with his 1976 Chevy Chevette hatchback, which caused his baby daughter, who was not strapped into her car seat, to be thrown from the vehicle into a muddy area. The car then spun closer and closer toward the baby until finally coming to rest on top of her, pinning her to the ground and trapping most of her body. The rest of the car sank firmly into the mud. The first police officer to arrive on the scene heard the baby screaming and picked up the car off the baby while the mother pulled the baby out. In 2006 in Tucson, Arizona, a man watched a Camaro hit and pin an 18-year-old teenager underneath. The man ran to the scene of the accident and lifted the Camaro off of the teenager while the driver of the Camaro pulled him to safety. In 1982 in Lawrenceville, Georgia, a woman lifted a 1964 Chevrolet from her son after it fell off the jacks that held it up while he worked underneath the car. The woman lifted the car high enough and long enough for 2 neighbors to replace the jacks and pull her son from underneath the car. The stress response doesn't just help people lift cars. In 2006 in Quebec, a woman wrestled a large polar bear that she saw advancing toward her son and another boy while they played hockey. She tackled the polar bear and fought it while the boys ran for help. While the woman suffered some wounds, the polar bear ultimately lost the fight. She sparred with it long enough for a neighbor to shoot the bear until it died. A woman was cutting her lawn in High Island, Texas, when her riding mower got away from her. Her young granddaughter tried to stop the mower, but was knocked underneath the still-running machine. The woman reached the mower and easily tossed it off her granddaughter, limiting her granddaughter's injuries to 4 severed toes. Curious, the woman later tried to lift the mower again and found she couldn't move it. All of these people would not have been able to exhibit this incredible amount of strength if their bodies were not going through the stress response. That's how powerful the stress response can be. These are examples of how people use their stress response to fight or help someone. The stress response can also cause people to go the opposite way, so to speak, and run. The stress response can be so great that your body just shuts down and you can actually die. Have you ever heard of an apparently healthy person who died within days or even hours after their spouse passed away? They died as a result of the stress response. Key points. Stress can be very powerful, as illustrated by the incredible strength that can be produced by the stress response. And that's it.